Welcome, my people, to the Village Boy podcast. It is your host, Tres. And like we said, we on the Village Boy podcast, we talk about the issues that are currently trending in the world and that are happening in real time, and we have to touch on it. So, yesterday, the president of the People's Republic of America decided to go out and put out this message. If the Nigerian government continues to allow the killing of Christians, the USA will immediately stop all aid and assistance to Nigeria and may very well go into that now disgraced country, guns are blazing, to completely wipe out the Islamic terrorists who are committing these horrible atrocities. I am hereby instructing our Department of War, interesting name, to prepare for possible action. If we attack, it will be fast, vicious, and sweet, just like the terrorist thugs attack our cherished Christians. Warning, the Nigerian government better move fast. So, my people, make we go ahead and look into what is happening with this case. Now, when man begins stand tall, them shadow they look like threat. Nigeria don't finally begin breathe small. Debts cleared, oil refinery start, economy to grow, and just like that, while I don't come. While I don't come meet up Nigeria. So, if there's one thing I know, it's American politics. Most people are out here talking about the Christian killings, the terrorists, but for me, I'm not looking at that. Christians should not be killed. Muslims should not be killed. But please do not kid yourself that you think that American taxpayers are going to come into Nigeria to rescue Black Christians. It has never happened. It will never happen. But America can invade Nigeria on that pretext. But that's not the reason why they're coming to Nigeria. That's never going to be the reason why they come to free Christians. Because if you know anything about America, you know that it's an interest-driven country. They operate on interest alone. There is zero interest to America, the liberation of Christians. That's a misnomer. It's a crazy idea that America is going to expense money to free Christians in Nigeria. That has to be the dumbest thing I've ever heard, and I hear a lot of dumb stuff. But let's rewind. Let's go back because people seem to forget. People seem to forget. Donald Trump is talking about Islamic terrorists, Boko Haram, and the ISWAP. These terrorist groups. How did they come to be? Let's rewind. Let's go back in time and explore how these terrorist groups came to be. Because people seem to forget, they're so quick to not remember that America had a hand in what is happening in Nigeria right now. The fall of Muammar Gaddafi. Does anybody remember? Does that ring a bell? Does that ring? These groups have always been existing. All of these little terrorist little groups, but they were little village groups, they wanted to, and Gaddafi had a way to silence these people, fight them. Gaddafi kind of like was the good bacteria. There's a good bacteria and then there's the bad bacteria. The good bacteria is still a bacteria. It fights the bad bacteria. And if you kill the good bacteria, the bad bacteria is going to go haywire in your body and kill you eventually. And in Americans' magnanimity, in Americans' know it all, in America's let's go take Gaddafi out, the good bacteria. In 2011, following a NATO intervention, they're calling it NATO, but it was Obama and Hillary Clinton, right? Under the UN Resolution 1973, created a power vacuum in Libya that unleashed a cascade of consequences across the Sahel and West Africa, right? So America decided to go take out Gaddafi that was out there putting out all of this Islamic terrorists. Whether Trump knows of this, whether another American president knows of this, whether another American president was part of this plan, it's not the point. The point is a sitting American president took out Muammar Gaddafi, 2011, right? And Obama has said it was his biggest mistakes. But we are seeing the consequences today, and they're telling us that they want to invade Nigeria for a problem that they created on Nigerians. Nigerians never asked for this. Nigerians have had the problems where it was manageable for them. Again, it was a problem that Nigeria needed to address. Let's not go ahead and act like Nigeria did not need to address this problem. Even when Muammar Gaddafi was there, Nigeria should have put out this fire. True, we cannot give Nigeria a pass on this. However, it was manageable. Bad, manageable. The cascading consequences happened after an American president with NATO went into Libya and took Muammar Gaddafi out. So, Gaddafi's vast arsenals of weapons returned to mercenaries, right? And now across the Sahel, all the terrorist groups had some of the best military equipment you could ever imagine. Now think about the atrocities that just got unleashed because an American president decided to go somewhere and remove a president and has never apologized for that cascading effect and has never put into place a mitigation plan to solve that. Right? What happened? Massive trafficking across the area, the return of battle-hardened fighters, and the forging of jihadist alliances, which supercharged groups like Boko Haram in Nigeria and fueled broader instability. Countries like Cameroon that had no Islamic issues going on. It's just a little poor country there in Central Africa with a president that has been there for 43 years. They don't know the left from the right. They have to now have to deal with Boko Haram in their territory. Why? Because the most beloved American president of all time decided to go into Libya and take out Muammar Gaddafi. When Gaddafi was taken out, it let out. It's like you go into a maximum prison that has some of the worst criminals on earth, right? And you're like, oh, you know what? We're just gonna open the door and let them run free, and then they can break into the jail and into the security sides of it and come out with weapons. What do you think these people are gonna do to normal people? But you created this. America created this, right? ISIS, Boko Haram, AQIM, all of these affiliates started to see their strength after the fall of Gaddafi. By 2024, this dynamics had evolved into a self-reinforcing act of insecurity stretching from Libya to Nigeria to Cameroon, exacerbating coups, insurgencies, humanitarian crisis off the charts. Why? I have to remind folks because Obama and Hillary Clinton went into Libya under the guise of NATO and removed Gaddafi from power. This problem did not exist. America created this problem. Right? Post 2024, Libya's collapse played a catalyst role, not the sole cause. True. Poverty, ethnic tensions, and climate stress. Yes, yes, yes. But where did the guns come from? I mean, poverty is not going to make you just have an AK-47. It's not going to give you a tanker because you're poor. You're going to be bad. If it was that, Cameroonians would have already manufactured AK-47s from poverty after a failed president has been there for 43 years. RPGs, MANPADS, not military guys, so I don't even know how lethal some of these weapons are, constituted 15 to 20% of Boko Haram's firepower by 2015. They got it from the fall of Muammar Gaddafi. So Boko Haram was armed to the teeth. And they started to push. They started to come down. Nigeria, Chad, Cameroon, all of that Sahelian region, because the most loving black president of all time, Barack Obama, had gone in there, he and Hillary Clinton, and took out Gaddafi. And today, another American president is saying that the people who benefited from the fall of Gaddafi and are propagating atrocities in Nigeria, America now wants to come and save Nigeria. But we saw what America did in Libya. They went to save the Libyan people. I mean, it was literally about the same rhetoric. They didn't say they were going in to save Christians, but they were going in to save democracy. They wanted to bring democracy and American capitalism to Libya. And look at Libya today. And another American president is promising Nigeria that it would free Nigeria of Boko Haram and free Christians. If you know America's history, you have to say thanks, but no thanks. Right? Thanks, but no thanks. Hold on. Thanks, but no thanks. There's currently slavery going in Libya today because of the fall of Muammar Gaddafi. The fall of Muammar Gaddafi set Africa back almost 50 years with all the progress that has been made. So it was strategic. Every time that there is the country is beginning to look at the light, you would see things like this pop up. And we're going to talk about this. Because why people are just focusing on, oh, they're killing Christians. Yes, they're killing Christians in astronomical numbers, and they're killing Muslims even more. These people don't care. You think Boko Haram cares? The Chibok girls were not Christians. Those were the first signs that these people don't care if you're Christian or you're Muslim. They're good. If you're not following their rules and laws, they're going to kill you. But the fake narrative is the Christian narrative. The reason to go into Nigeria is just think about it, that America comes out and say Boko Haram is killing of every 5 people killed in Nigeria, 3 are Muslims killed by Boko Haram, and Nigeria and America wants. No, that's not going to give any kind of credibility. What's going to give credibility is saying that we're going in there to rescue the Christians. But are they not other things? But let's not get into that just yet. Right? Let's not get into that just yet. So, is this truly about faith? Or is it about the resources in Nigeria? If you know America, America does not do anything that does not benefit America. America is an interest-driven country. Now, let me ask you, what does it benefit America to go into spend taxpayer dollars to go into Nigeria to free 4,000 Christians or eliminate Boko Haram? They've not eliminated terrorists anywhere in the world, so I don't think that they would eliminate Boko Haram. America has not kicked out terrorism anywhere in the world, right? So let's not kid ourselves. Let's not dream on that. Are they going to fight them and push them back? Probably they went to. But where has America ever gone that it was not interest driven? There was not a direct benefit to America. How does liberating Christians in in Nigeria benefit America directly? That a president is just jolted and pushed about this, right? How does it benefit? Right? How does it benefit Nigeria, America? Somebody has to tell me how it benefits America. So let's talk about my theory from the Village Boy perspective, what I think is going on right now. Let's talk about my perspective. So, my perspective is that somebody needs to cripple Nigeria to go back into begging. This cry is to cripple Nigeria to go back into begging, dependency, and because that creates dependency and sustainability on a foreign power. In April 2025, Nigeria repaid its 3.4 billion emergency IMF loan early, right? For the first time in decades, the country stepped out of the lender's grip and re-entered global markets with confidence. What does that mean? Nigeria was able to pay some of its debt down, not all, some. It's not mean total freedom. Nigeria still has over 152 trillion naira, which is equivalent about 100 million in public debt. But leaving the IMF debtor list, right? It gave Nigeria a breathing room. Nobody can deny that, right? That freed up nearly 77% of international payment once tied to interest and penalties. Money now available for Nigeria to build its infrastructure, build schools, and build roads, and be able to put Nigerians to work. That physical independence marked a turning point, of course, shows that whenever an African country starts making progress to escape dependency, someone somewhere decides to be it's becoming a threat. Why now? Why? I mean, they've been known that these killings have been going on. I mean, it was not slowed down in Trump's first term. It didn't slow down in Biden's term. Why now? But the only thing that has changed is the progress that Nigeria has made in its ambitions, in its quest to free itself and become the economic hub of Africa. Because if Nigeria makes it, Africa makes it. If Nigeria survives, Africa survives. If Nigeria becomes that economic power for Africa, Africa survives. If Nigeria fails, Africa is going to remain in poverty because who else is going to come up the ranks? Who else is going to come up the ranks? It's not South Africa. It's an amazing economy, but it's not them. It's not going to be Ghana. It's not going to be none of the North African countries. Sub-Saharan Africa needs a thriving and successful Nigeria. And they are on the pathway, as China did, which we're going to talk in another segment, to become a capitalist market-free economy. But what does that mean for the global powers that be? a thriving Africa with a driving force like Nigeria. That's a threat. That's a threat. So what next happened? Did Nigeria not only pay up their, a part of their debt, a significant part of their debt down? Dangote just announced that its refinery, the Dangote refinery, Africa's largest, one of the world's biggest, which is producing 650,000 barrels per day. That tells you that Nigeria is transitioning from raw exportation to becoming a creator. So smaller, poor countries around Nigeria that are oil producing nations, like maybe the little tiny Cameroon next door, will be able to, instead sending their crude oil to France to produce, they'll send it to the Dangote refinery. It's a shorter distance. Less than 6 hours, oil will be less than 3 hours or a couple of hours, oil will be in Nigeria, refining from Cameroon, and oil is back in Cameroon. It will be cheaper for Cameroonians. It will be cheaper for Nigeria. It will be cheaper for business. It will be cheaper for the economy. Africa would be beginning, Africa would see a semblance of self-sustainability. For decades, Nigeria has exported crude oil and imported refined fuel at inflated costs, and that's very common across Africa, sub-Saharan Africa. But what has changed? It's currently refining its own resources. It's keeping its own profits. Nigeria just recently saved roughly about 10 billion annually on subsidies on petrol and oil subsidies. Right? So what does the Dangote refinery represent? It's not only an infrastructure, it shows political maturity, political independence in the eyes of global power. And what does that mean? Nigeria is not going to need them again. Africa may not need them again. Nigeria might be able to provide the oil to all of these other African countries that used to get oil from the Western imperialists. So all of a sudden, just out of the blue, Nigerians, as Nigeria oil production stabilizes, its economy is beginning to look like it has somebody that's leading Nigeria has his head on his shoulder. Nigerian economy is gaining traction. Some random narrative from nowhere, one that paints the country as disgraced, unstable, divided, and in need of the intervention of America, and in need of a Western savior, and in need of the white savior on his white horse to come into Nigeria and save Nigerians. You have to not know American history. You have to have not read American history about going into foreign countries with this claim of intervention, bringing democracy, helping, changing narratives. It has never worked. It will not work in Nigeria. Right? What does that post read? It reads like a page from the Cold War. Go look up the history. The horrible atrocities in Nigeria will stop, or we will stop them. You who gave you the authority? Who Nigeria is a sovereign nation. What authority do you have to go into Nigeria that you will stop something? No country can come into America and attack America because school shootings have not been addressed. Kids are getting killed in the amount of school shooting in America is relative to the Christians being killed in Nigeria. Has anybody invaded America to stop that shooting? The amount of mass yearly mass shooting in America, it's equivalent to the Christians being killed. Or it's just because they don't call them Christians? Mass shooting in America is an epidemic. No country has invaded America to take American guns away as a solution to that problem. And somehow, MAGA Republicans, Ted Cruz, some clown called Tom Cole, I don't even know where he's from, takes charge to look into the situation in Nigeria about rescuing Christians when these people are all believers of some Judeo Christianity and they're not even American first, they're Israel first. And somehow they value Christians in America, in Nigeria. You have to be kidding me. The Department of War is going to look into this. His justifications that Christians are being slaughtered by Muslims. But let's look at the data because I know Trump is allergic to data. What does the data say? Most of the victims of Boko Haram and ISWAP are Muslims themselves. Like I already said, the Chibok girls. Even Michelle Obama's whose husband created this whole confusion and problems for Africans. Africans never asked for none of this. Africans never told Obama to come save Muhammad Gaddafi. That was the Americans' problem. Americans said we needed to get him out of power, but then it created this problem for Africa. Most victims of Boko Haram and all these other groups are Muslims because, I mean, they run into Muslim territories. How many Christians do you think stay in these regions? But nobody cares about that, right? Nobody cares about the Muslims that are being killed. So the focus is only Christians because Christianity is the religion of the people, is a religion of that matters more than Muslims. Muslims' lives don't really matter. So America's focus is the Christians. If you believe that, I can sell you the Redskins or the Washington Commanders Stadium. I own that stadium. I can sell it to you. Right? Don't ever like this is not this is not a conversation about faith. That's what they're selling to you. Nigeria is a resource-rich country. And I can guarantee you that if Nigeria was a dry land with nothing in there, nobody would care if the Christians are being killed or not. Nobody's going to care. But let me ask you something. If you think that this is genuine, if you believe in America, if you believe in this narrative, wouldn't you think that the model that America has done for Israel would exactly be the same model that America applies to Nigeria? What do I mean by that? Offer training, offer weapons, offer counterintelligence, offer so many resources, right? Help box the terrorists in without having foot soldiers or without doing all of this showboating and hypocrisy. Like provide the resources, the satellite imaging for Nigerians to know where these people are. Provide the equipment for Nigerian military to go there and drop drone bombs and take these terrorists out. Provide that assistance. Provide Nigeria with the resources, the money that you give to Israel to go out there and but in Palestine and kill over 70,000 people and nobody ever raised an eyebrow. But you're not providing the same intelligence for Nigeria so that a Nigerian military can go out there and do the work. Help Nigeria create a special unit that's going to be a counterterrorism unit that will be able to then be trained in America, come out here and train for years or months and be able to go out there and fight this. And then we protect economic sanctions, force Nigeria to act in a way, but you're giving threats with aid that is going to go to the most vulnerable people in Nigeria. And this is an argument that 75 million MAGA lunatics think that it makes sense. No, 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 it doesn't make any sense. Any Nigerian that's falling for this, you have not really understood how America operates. America does not care about the Christians in Nigeria. Two things. America cares about the resources in Nigeria. America cares about that. And America cares about an independent Nigeria. Those are the two things that matter to America because an independent Nigeria is a threat to America. The resources in Nigeria are beneficial to America. So either America wants Nigerian resources or America does not want an economic independent Nigeria. Don't mistake both of them. For we care, we're happy to see that they go out there and rescue. That's the dumbest mistake anybody can ever imagine, that America is going to play Chuck Norris in rescuing Christians held hostage or being killed by Boko Haram. They don't care. They don't care one bit. Right? They don't. And like I said, if Washington truly cared about Christians' lives, it could share intelligence, train local forces, or support counterterrorism and transparency. That is how you care. That's how you show value. And if Trump has already done all of this in Nigeria, because Nigerians can be a little complacent. Right? That's why they're still struggling the way they are right now. So Trump has done all of these steps. Come out and say we did this. We've provided over 10 billion in the last 4 years since we created this mess by taking out Gaddafi. We were able to come in and train Nigerian soldiers, offered this much $1 billion in assistance and training and counterintelligence and all of that stuff. And Nigeria has still failed to ensure that the Nigerians are protected, and so we're going to come and do the job ourselves. Say that. And I think with the vast majority of people would understand. But you cannot come when Nigeria is beginning to gain traction, when Nigeria is beginning to feel like it's on track to become a market-free economy and the biggest in the sub-Saharan region, and you're telling us that you want to invade that country to free Christians. Sit down on the couch. Let's talk. Right? And we rehashed already. They came to Libya in 2011 as liberators. And they're planning to come into Nigeria as Christian crusaders to free Christians. Right? They are the messengers, St. Paul's messengers to Nigeria to free Christians from the claws of the Boko Haram terrorist group. I'll sell you the Washington Commander Stadium. Have they apologized? Have they taken responsibility for the fall of Tripoli that unleashed that arsenal of insurgents across the Sahel? Have they apologized and provided resources for the people that are suffering because of that American decision? No, they have not. Mali, Niger, northern Nigeria, northern Cameroon, Chad, all of these areas are suffering because of one stupid decision to unseat Muammar Gaddafi. And today, 2025, invade Nigeria as if this was a problem that was created by Nigeria. West Africa till this day is still paying the price, a humanitarian war. Tens of thousands of lives lost. And still no accountability from Washington, from people who have promised freedom. Did they provide freedom in Iraq? In Yemen, in Sudan, all of the places they've invaded? Has that democracy followed them? No, it doesn't. So when Trump sits on his throne and raises some moral flag over Nigeria, the region recognizes the melody, a remix of old imperial chorus. Keep that in mind. So let's look at the number. Oil, faith, or fear. Let's look at the numbers. Today, Nigeria currently produces 1.6 million barrels of oil per day, bringing in more than 60 billion annually. My brothers and my sisters, the village boy, hit the like button, because we're not here to be focusing on should we rescue Christians or we should not. Follow the numbers. I always tell people, follow the numbers. Don't follow emotions. Don't get distracted in the cloud. Don't tell me about Christians should not be killed. Muslims should not be killed. Nigeria should take its responsibility to ensure that they are able to combat Boko Haram. But everybody needs to understand, Nigeria did not create Boko Haram. The weapons that Boko Haram have is as a result of Americans' miscalculation, which always happens. And this again is another American miscalculation that would destroy a volatile Nigerian economy that is generating 60 billion annually from its own oil. Freedom, economic freedom, and power. Now, a country wants to go and invade that country that's generating 60 billion annually in its own oil revenue. China has invested over 25 billion in ports, railway, lithium mining, reshaping West African logistic maps. And suddenly out of nowhere, why China is building infrastructure in Africa, helping Africa connect. Now you can travel from the port of Mombasa to Cairo within a reasonable time. You can go from Johannesburg to Yaoundé because the assistance of China. China is bringing infrastructure. China is bringing trade and partnership. America is bringing religious persecution. While Africa is looking for partners to build an economic friendship of interest, you gain, I gain, I gain, you gain. America is coming in as the Jonah of Judah, Lion of Judah on the cross. That's how America is coming in to rescue the Christians in northern Nigeria. That's what America is offering Nigeria. Not a trade partnership, not some kind of let's buy some of those the oil that you've refined. How can we be of interest so that we have a good friendship like it has with Asia and every other country? The one black country that is beginning to breathe air, the one black country that is beginning to stand up and stand for itself, America says, no, we're going to come invade you so that we can rescue Christians. This isn't a coincidence. It's a competition. Don't get yourself confused. Faith becomes the pretext, fuel remains the price. Let me say that again so that for those in the back of the class, they can understand. Faith becomes the pretext, fuel remains the price. It's a competition. And you cannot fault America. They're in the business of interest. You have to be able to do your own side of the game. You cannot leave these crumbs where they're going to come pick on you and come. This is a problem for Nigeria to deal with. Nobody should be going back and forth. The Nigerian military right now should be taking full responsibility to ensure that they're able to fight and partner with Russia and China and all of these people to have the resources to go fight Boko Haram and destroy them, get them out of their territory. Nigeria must invest everything they have to get that. Else, you're not going to have an economy, Nigeria. Else, you will be back, not even to square one. Because when they come through you, you're going back to the Stone Ages. If you want to take the leap of faith, take the leap of faith. Don't say I didn't warn you. There's track record. You can go from the start, track record. Do the needful. Go into this territory with you can do a combined task force. I would have said the AU, but after seeing what the AU did in Cameroon with the elections, I know the AU is as good for nothing. The AU is as useless as cow's skin, but you guys call it pomo. But that's how useless the AU is. Dangote refinery, a 20 billion national symbol, could easily become a mistaken casualty in a so-called precision strike. Let me paint a picture for you guys. In this quest to go get rid of Boko Haram, they might want to drop a bomb, a precision strike, we're just saying, on Boko Haram. They find a compound there. They might want to drop a bomb on Boko Haram, the compound with the leader, right? And somebody moves it a mistake, a coffee spill, something, some mistake happens. America is known for having a lot of mistakes. Some kind of mistake happens, and that bomb drops on a 20 billion national symbol, the Dangote refinery. It's a mistake. That was not the plan. We were planning to blow off a compound up in Kaduna or Adamawa or wherever. That's what we wanted to do, but we didn't really calculate it, and it landed somewhere outside of Lagos, and the bomb blew off parts of the refinery. Production has to stop. Money lost. Economy now back into ruins. A mistake. And America can apologize, or they cannot apologize. Nothing is going to happen. Nigeria does not have the bandwidth to go fight America. You cannot. I'll put you out in a couple of hours. But guess what? Your economy has been rewritten back to Stone Ages. Now, let's envisage a scenario here. If the US were to strike on Nigeria, even a limited one, a very limited one, if the US was to strike on Nigeria, it would devastate Africa's largest economy. Oil export would collapse by half. The naira could spiral beyond 2,000 nairas to the dollar, and inflation would skyrocket. What would happen? A country that's being attacked has to defend itself. I mean, you're not going to just sit there and watch them come attack your country. You have to defend yourself. So the Nigerian government is going to quadruple its defense budget, which is not, the budget is already high as it stands right now, but they have to be able to double that, recruit more people to be able to try to fight. Because again, you don't know their mission. You don't know how far they're willing to go. All they've just told you is that they want to come free Christians. You're not part of their intelligence briefings. You don't know the scope of this mission. You're just a recipient, a victim. What happens when the Nigerian government has to double the size of its budget? A nation currently on a growth path could lose a decade of progress overnight by a couple of strikes. And you want me to focus on they're going to go rescue the Christians? I follow the money. I look at the Nigeria before everything. When I heard that Trump has promised to go attack to rescue the Christians, all I did was just go to ChatGPT. I'm like, ChatGPT, please update me about Nigeria. Tell me about Nigerian economy. I didn't know nothing about Nigeria have paid its debts. I didn't know nothing about the refinery and how Nigeria is doing economically sound and the progress that Nigeria has been making lately. I thought Nigeria was just some disorganized, corrupt African country, as it has always been. But then I found this news coincidentally with a time and a precision and a focus of an attack. And I was like, oh, we're at it again. We're doing what we do best. So a country is beginning to grow, has pad, has air, has, wait till they talk. Say, but air don't they pass your body. Then somehow Wahala just come up from nowhere. For the United States, possibly it would be another $1 trillion mistake. For Nigeria, it would be a humanitarian and an economic catastrophe. It's not the same thing. America makes this $1 trillion mistakes every year, every 2 years. That's why their economies, their debt. If you go to New York, it's over how many trillions, money that you cannot even imagine. Those are mistakes upon mistakes upon mistakes. Every innovation, every military innovation in the last 45 years has been a mistake. Not calculated, not thought out for, has been a mistake. This one will be another mistake. So I've gone to YouTube, I've gone to X, and I've seen a bunch of people. I'm going to share it right here. I've seen a bunch of people excited that, oh my goodness, America is coming to rescue. Some of these black MAGA people. They're like, yes, here this lady. Let's go ahead. I don't even know if she's Nigerian or she's American, but
for placing Nigeria. President Trump, I would like to express my deepest gratitude for placing Nigeria on your watch list. It's very emotional for me because as a Christian and also being of African origin, my Nigerian Christian brothers and sisters are getting killed in numbers. But for you to put them on your list and to be added on your list of countries of particular concern, it's very emotional, and I just want to say thank you. My heart goes out to them, to all my Nigerian brothers and sisters who have had to deal with the horrors of being slaughtered, being persecuted in numbers, all because of their religious faith, their Christian beliefs. And these radical Islamists are terrorizing communities in Nigeria. But I would like to express my deepest gratitude and thank you. Thank you to the Trump administration. Thank you so much. You just don't know. This is not just a Nigeria issue. This is a world issue. And millions of people like myself feel the same way about how Nigerian Christians are just being slaughtered in numbers. And it seems like the world has just turned their back on them. So I thank you so much for taking this matter very seriously and taking a stance to add them on their list. President Trump, I commend you so much, and God bless.
So I cannot fault the sister. She's genuine in her pain, in her reflection, and she's hurting. So I cannot fault her for looking for an outlet. Her Christian faith pushes her to say, this barbarians, this terrorists are out here killing Christians. And we need to be able to stop that. But my sister, let me speak to you. This problem was not caused by Nigeria. It was caused by America. And you are saying that the person who caused the problem is also the person that's coming to put out the fire. My sister, I don't know if you're ever going to get to watch this video. Have you ever seen that work out anywhere? Now, Trump was not in power, Obama was, but here in this case, it's America. My sister, my other question, do you know any success stories? And share with us. I don't know everything. I'm the village boy. We're learning. We're from the village. We don't know everything here. Success stories where America has come in with this kind of narrative, left and did exactly just what they wanted to do without affecting anything else? Do you know of any such situations? So, do you have any roadmap of how this execution is going to work so that your country, Nigeria, does not go back into the Stone Age? Because Nigeria is not to blame for this. Nigeria can be blamed that it has not fought as hard as it needs to fight. You could fault Nigeria for that because it needs to be able to put the resources in place. Nigeria does not have the discipline and focus. You could blame your government for that. That they've not. Cameroon was able to, a country like Cameroon was able to create an Israeli-based military called BIR, that their purpose was to fight Boko Haram, funded by the government, the president. It's not. It's really not part of the military, but if they're Israeli trained, run by Israeli people. Cameroonians don't really run this group of people. They specifically created this group to go after Boko Haram, and they've gone with measured success. And I don't know the story about Nigeria and how they've been able to push. So that's failure on Nigeria's part. But let me ask you this. The president did not say we're going to be able to work with Nigeria to ensure that we, as a partnership, we're going to be able to eradicate this. We're going to work with them. We're going to bring solutions, intelligence. America has all kinds of intelligence that they could use. War is not one of them. To help Nigeria get rid of Boko Haram, get rid of the different terrorist groups. But none of that was on the table, my sister. What was on the table is if Nigeria does not take care of this, we, the department, I put in place the Department of War. What do you think the Department of War does? In it's in its name, the Department of War. It goes to war. So America will be going to war with Nigeria. So, and I'm assuming you are in America and you are a taxpayer. So you're saying that your tax dollars should go and invade a sovereign country to free Christians? What about the Muslims that are getting killed? Do you care about them, or you only care about the Christians? Let's get rid of the terrorists, but that's Americans' job, or an international coalition that's gonna come in and partner with Nigeria to go fight the terrorists. But my sister, your country for the first time in your life is on track on economic independence, and this is right now coming on Trump's table. Do you think that maybe that's a conspiracy theory? Maybe you're one of those kind of people that everything that comes on the table, you're just going to say it's a conspiracy theory. We're hurting, but you also have to be smart. Do not start celebrating too soon, and then you're going to regret later. So, what's the path forward? Right? What is the path forward? This isn't a time for Nigeria to panic. Nigerians, please don't panic. Y'all need to come together as a country and stand firm as your country before any invader. There is no grounds on a foreign country coming to invade your country to solve problems that you can solve. Nigerians should be and capable of solving this problem. It's not some problem that Nigeria cannot solve. Americans don't have health insurance. The American government was just shut down recently. Drug epidemic is on the rise. Americans have been out of work for months and months and months and months. America has so many problems on its own that Trump has not been able to resolve. He's worried about Christians in Nigeria, a problem that Nigerians can solve. No, Nigeria must secure its assets, strengthen regional defense alliances, and diversify its economy. Nigeria should be a touristic hub. So do not depend only on natural resources. By now, you should be pushing into tourism. People should be coming. Now, Nigerians should be more disciplined than ever. I'm going to have a next episode on free markets and how Africa migrates into free markets. It takes discipline and focus. And we're going to talk about that, and we're going to use Nigeria as a case study after this episode. African institutions like ECOWAS and African Union is a very useless institution, need to evolve beyond press releases and become real shields of sovereignty. But African Union is useless. So I don't even know. That's never going to work. America still funds them. The Nigerian government leadership have to have a balanced relationship with both East and West, but never surrender its autonomy to either. Most importantly, Nigeria must invest in its people, in education, in innovation, and in technology. This is a perfect segment and lead up into my next podcast. The strongest defense of a nation, the strongest defense a nation can build is an informed, united, and economically empowered citizenry, not a divided one. And for right now, Nigerians are so divided that the Christians that think that they need Americans to come save them, they're more willing to welcome an invader to come into their country and invade them and take over. So this country is very divided. Every empire needs an army, and a rising Africa has become one. But history is turning. This time, Africans across the continent are not begging for peace. They're building it. I am the host of the Village Boy podcast, Trez. Stay awake and remember, this isn't about religion. This isn't about faith. It's about power, sovereignty, and the price of independence. Good night. Continue to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. I love you, Nigeria. I love you, Africa.